Okay, in this short video we're going to have a quick overview of some simple constructions that we might need to do when we're looking at geometry tasks using GeoGebra. Now when you open a GeoGebra file, by default we've got this grid and we've got these axes, and in fact it's in a graphing mode. Now that's okay, but usually we don't want to have axes on, so what we could do is just turn those off and possibly turn the grid off as well. But there is something that we need to be careful of, and that is that the X to Y ratio is always 1:1. Now we can fix that, but actually if you're going to do geometry, then probably what you want to do is have the geometry perspective on. So come to perspectives and click on geometry. Now these menus are just like the menus that you had for graphing, and we can quite easily plot points. We can create lines and line segments, and another useful feature is to plot rays. Now because this is dynamic geometry, all of these points are dynamic. Now if I want to change this at all, I can just right click and I can select all of those in one go and delete them. Now this menu is really useful and there's some features in it that I just want to focus on. First one is perpendicular line. So if I want to create a line that is perpendicular to this line segment, I click on the line segment and then it wants to know where, so I need to fix a point. So I'm going to choose this one here, and that line now will always remain perpendicular to my line segment. That goes for parallel lines also, so I can do a parallel line to this that goes through this point, and that line there will always be parallel to my first one. Let's just create another line segment. The final tool I want to look at is perpendicular bisector. Really easy to use, just one click and that is a perpendicular bisector of that line segment. Okay, polygons are really easy. Let's imagine I want to do a quadrilateral, 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and then I have to go back to my starting point to finish it off. And again, this is all dynamic. I can change the points and it will reconstruct a new quadrilateral. Okay, what about circles? Well, circles can be constructed in a number of ways. I'm going to show you two easy ones here. A circle which will go through, or can be defined by a center and going through a point. So click is the center, and then click again. It will go through always this point here. Again, all dynamic. And the other one which is useful is a circle with a center and radius. So if I click, that's my center, and it's waiting for me to type in a radius, so let me put 3, and that will always be 3 units as its radius. Right, let's have a look at this measurement menu. First one, angle. So the angle tool will measure angles, of course. So if I click on this polygon here, it'll measure all the angles here. And if I wanted to measure this angle here, very easy, click on the 3 points. Now the key thing for this is to get them in the right order. So if I wanted to measure the reflex angle, this would be the order I did. However, I want to work out what that acute angle is, so the order in which I click the points is the reverse. Finally, I can also use this distance or length tool. So let me just put in a segment. So I can measure the length of that segment there. I can also measure the distance between 2 points. By clicking the first and then the second point there. And the final feature I want to show you is to do with creating an angle with a given size. So the angle that I've got here is dynamic and it changes when I move these rays. But what I want to do is create an angle that is 40 degrees. So I'll click one point and then another point, and then I'll just type in here 40 degrees, oops, anti-clockwise there, and that's my angle. Now the great thing about this is still dynamic, but that angle will always be fixed at 40 degrees. And that can be quite handy for some of your constructions.